Hello, everyone. Welcome to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host for today, Tabetha Moreto. Our guest today is Amanda Gordon, Director of Armchair Psychology. She is experienced in helping people deal with the full range of life crisis, including managing relationships, coping with grief and loss, dealing with stress from a particular crisis, and managing change. She is an endorsed specialist, health, and clinical psychologist. Today, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, Psychology Week 2017, and we're going to talk about how people communicate in the digital age. Without further ado, welcome to the show, Amanda. I'm so happy you can join us today.
Thank you so much, Tabitha.
My pleasure. So, Amanda, please tell the audience more about yourself and your organization.
Well, I'm a private practicing psychologist working with a range of clients that come ahead of me. Psychology Week, though, is an initiative of the Australian Psychological Society, 23,000 plus members. And when I was Director of Communications in the early 2000s, I started something called Psychology Day, which became National Psychology Week about 15 years ago. And during this week, we try to promote psychologists and the work that they do to destigmatize, to give people an idea of the range of things, of areas in which psychologists work. So Psychology Week this year is talking about thriving in the digital age, but thriving, of course, can take many forms for many people. So I, as a psychologist working in private practice, often have to address issues of managing social media and managing thriving, and those two bits come together very well.
Fantastic. I like this topic today. So we're talking about social media. As we all know, social media is something that's a part of our daily lives nowadays. So can you tell us about social media? Social media offers more avenues for engagement, but is it really true? Are we really connecting and communicating with one another?
You know, I think we're learning. It's interesting because the current young people of today are the first generation who were born into what we can call the digital age, with an expectation of a device being attached to them at all times and communicating through a device. People of various ages have had to learn how to bring social media into their ordinary communication language, whereas the young kids of today have it sort of almost naturally. It's sort of ingrained because what they've done from the very beginning. So when you talk about more or less, I would say that we have to really take on board that social media is part of our lives and ensure that our communication evolves so that we take into account social media as part of it. And I don't think we're there yet. I think for many people, social media has replaced proper communication, and there are just posts, you know, where people just inform others about things, whether it's an opinion or an action or a behavior, instead of communicating with others about what's going on in their lives and in their thoughts and in their feelings. But some people have got it and are able to use social media in a way that enhances communication for them.
That's right. I agree with you that social media has become an important part of our lives, but at the same time, it has both positive and negative effects. One of the negative effects is that people don't talk to each other face-to-face anymore. Everybody just talks to each other through social media. And to me, I find it very awkward, actually. There are times where I would have a friend who lives near me, but I would say, come on, you want to come over and talk? She would say, no, I'll just tell you on Facebook. And I'm like, okay. So,
really?
Amanda,
that's right. Really? That's all you want?
So, Amanda, can you tell us what are the pros and cons of social media?
Look, the pros are that you can get out a message very easily to a lot of people. I can actually tweet or put on Facebook or Instagram or whatever that I'm going to be on this radio channel at this time, and people will see and will go and listen. So it's an easy way of getting information out. And in the same way, making an invitation to a private event can be done much more easily than in the old days of paper and pencil and an individual message to each person. But the disadvantages can be large as well because, as I say, the risk is that you do everything in your communication in a truncated way, that you lose the personal, as perhaps you did with your friend who would prefer to tell you on Facebook rather than personally share with you, looking you in the eye and talking to you about things, connecting with you. I know, even from personal experience, that I recently lost my mother, and I received wonderful messages of support from Facebook, etc. And it really was warming and terrific and made a difference to me. But so did the people who came to visit, who risked making a phone call even though they didn't know what to say. And that sort of real communication touched me quite differently because it had to, because those people were working hard to connect at a deep human level without anything between them. So for me, the messages on technology at that time of grief and mourning were important, were real, but weren't quite as warming, as supportive as the real life connection was.
Yes, that's true. I agree with you. There are times where, like, for example, it's our birthday, or if we have, just like in your case, if a family member has passed away, people would automatically send us messages on Facebook, but it doesn't have that personal touch where somebody comes to you face to face and tell you how they feel about you on those specific occasions.
And the risk is, if we don't practice doing that, if we don't connect with people at that face-to-face level, then we're not connecting with their pain, but we're also not preparing ourselves, if you like. We're not growing ourselves, and it's going to be harder to deal with our own losses because we don't have the resources that come through connection with others. As a psychologist, I believe personal growth happens through relationship. Now, I'm not canning it because I actually think that social media can contribute greatly to relationships. It must just not be that it's the only way that we communicate.
Yes, that's right. Now, let's talk about the interaction between parents and their teenage children, because as we all know, teenagers nowadays, their lives evolve around social media. So do you think parents should follow their teenage kids on social media?
Absolutely. You know, the Australian Psychological Society's survey for Psychology Week actually discovered about 60% of Australian parents don't follow their children on social media, and I think it's very dangerous. I think not only should we follow, but not follow, be friends, be attached. We should talk about what is going on with our kids. One of the risks is that we allow our kids to have sort of a different life, a separate life, which is their digital life, and then they have the life that they connect with human beings in the real world. So a generation ago, parents would know their teenagers' friends because everyone would congregate at one another's homes or you'd give them lifts somewhere or whatever. But if your teenager is only having connection through Facebook or some other digital form, then the risk is you won't get to know those friends, and therefore you won't get to know the stresses of your own child. You won't share their growing up. So ensure that you talk to your kids, not just about all the rules about Facebook, whatever, but talk to them about the content of what they're engaging with and how it makes them feel and what's going on for them in those connections, so that you're enhancing connectivity in your teenagers' use of social media.
Yes, and I agree with you. As a parent myself, even though my daughter is still young, when she reaches her teenage years, I want to do the same. I want to be a part of her life, not just in real life. I want to be a part of her digital life as well, because as a mother myself, I'm also concerned about who are my child's friends. Who is she talking to? What is she doing? Because if I don't know what's going on, if something happens to her, that would be my fault at the end.
That's right. And we know that about 30% of kids are also engaging with strangers on Facebook or on some other form of social media on a regular basis. So if you're not connecting with your child or your teenager, then you don't know whether they are safe or not. We have to teach them how to engage with strangers. If someone likes something that they've done, or, because the way the system works in social media, if you're friends with someone and they're friends with someone else and they're friends with someone else, there are some posts that they can see. You don't know them. You have to teach your child etiquette. You have to be supportive of them. You have to help them block people whom they don't know. Have to help them see when it's not appropriate to be connected with someone that you don't know. And unless we talk about these things, and we won't know what to talk about unless we're connecting with our kids' accounts. We won't know what to talk about. So leave yourself available and accessible to your kids so that you're not just talking to them about social media when it's a danger or when there's a rule, but also talking to them about social media in the good times as well, so that they learn that that's part of their communication and they learn a communication style that's positive.
Yes, and I absolutely agree with you. Thank you so much for your advice. Now, speaking of social media etiquette, let's talk about situations where social media is used. Like, for example, weddings or musical concerts. Do you think it's appropriate, for example, let's say you're at a concert, is it appropriate to post videos of the performer on Facebook?
Appropriate's an interesting word. There's probably some copyright issues, although a very short segment you'd probably get away with. But the question is, are you really enjoying the concert if you're so busy filming it?
Yeah.
Why aren't you there? Why aren't you in the moment? Why aren't you mindfully enjoying it? If you're only going to a concert in order to gloat to other people about how wonderful it was to be there, then that's a great shame and probably a waste of the entry money, you know? So I would say to you, be there and engage and be involved in the music or the wedding or wherever it is you are, and allow yourself to really connect with what's happening rather than spending all your time sharing it with other people for your own sake.
Yes, I agree with you. If I'm going to a concert to watch my favorite performer, I want to go there to listen to the music. If I wanted to film that performer, I might as well be a camera woman or something.
Correct.
Yes.
But we try as psychologists, we try and teach people to live mindfully. When you live mindfully, you're in the moment. If every moment is taken up with taking photos of it or filming it, then you're not really living in that moment. You're external. You're a viewer, an observer of the moment instead of being in the moment. And that's not good for your mental health.
That's right. You should be in the moment. Don't just video everything. Don't just take pictures. Enjoy the moment.
Correct.
Enjoy life.
Correct.
I agree with you. So, Amanda, now let's talk about work and social media. Do you think it's appropriate for bosses and their employees to engage with each other on social media?
Look, it depends on the workplace. There are some workplaces where it's seen as entirely appropriate, but I would have thought it should be limited to an internal network rather than being in public. So if it's about, there are so many different types of social media, and there are some that are very suitable for exchanging ideas or information or things that belong within a private network. And that's how bosses, I think, should engage with their employees and vice versa on social media. There are some workplaces in which there is socializing that goes on in that between employers and employees. And if that's the case, then probably it is best on social media because then it's public. And then it's not breaking any rules. It's just this is how we engage with each other. But if it's a workplace issue, it should be private. It should be separate.
Yes, I agree with you that we should separate our professional lives with our personal lives. Things that happen at home shouldn't be brought to work, and vice versa. Things that happen at work shouldn't be brought at home, or rather on social media.
Yeah, look, different workplaces have different rules and different ethoses and different cultures. And in some workplaces, it can be appropriate to engage with things in a more personal level. But it's really important to be clear as to your boundaries. And if everyone is exposed to everything through social media, then there are no boundaries. And I think that ultimately can be dangerous. I think what I want to stress is there are no hard and fast rules. We just have to think about the impact of social media in the various aspects of our lives. That's how we'll thrive, but by ensuring that social media is actually part of our lives in a manner that we want, so that it's our tool rather than our master.
I like that. We should be in control. We should not let social media control us. We are the ones who should control it. Excellent message.
That's
I like that. Okay, now let's talk about the connection between insomnia and the use of social media. As we know, a lot of people nowadays, before they go to bed, they're always on their phones or they're always on their mobile devices. So is there a connection really between insomnia and the, let's say, overuse of social media?
I think there are two parts to it. One is the physiological of having the bright light shining into your eyes just before you're trying to go to sleep. And that will keep you awake, a bit like having a melatonin burst. It'll keep you awake. But leaving aside the physiological, for many young people, we find the insomnia part is the risk that there will be messages coming through that they're missing out on. So they sort of sleep but remain a little vigilant in case they hear a beep and they want to respond. And that is very bad for sleep. It's the best thing anyone can do is turn off their device sometime, probably an hour before they want to go to sleep. Pick up a real-life book, and read that instead, and you'll have a much better night's sleep. And I always instruct parents to take the devices out of the bedrooms from a certain time. The devices should be charged outside the bedroom from whatever time the parent thinks is appropriate, which I think should be an hour before bottom line sleep time. and the kids shouldn't have access to them after that time, whether it's on the phone or messaging or WhatsApp or Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or anything, because that will enhance sleep appropriately.
That's right. I agree with you, because to tell you the truth, before I had a bad habit of using my phone before going to bed, and to tell you the truth, I had trouble sleeping. Then I realized that using my phone during that time messed up my sleeping pattern. So what I do now, I like what you mentioned earlier, I started reading, and to tell you the truth, it did help me sleep much better.
Good. Yes. That's how it should do, yes.
Yes, I'm very happy that I was able to break that bad habit myself.
Well done, yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. So before we go, Amanda, I want to ask you a personal question, if you don't mind. Why are you so passionate about this particular topic? Why are you so passionate about educating people regarding the effects of social media?
You know, I believe that relationships are the core of what we do, and social media is a tool for relationships that can be used for good or for bad. I work with couples a lot in my practice, and I've seen people break up from their boyfriend or their girlfriend through text message. They've lost the art of relating to people properly and of thinking of their feelings and the impact of what they do. And I just think that we could use it for good, to make the world a better place, to give messages of support and compassion face to face for other important aspects of what we want to do. I believe we can make social media a better tool and not allow it to master us. And then we will become better as a society at caring for other people. So it's a big question, and I hope I've answered it through that I've watched the evolution of people in their relationships as social media has been used over the years.
Very well said. Thank you so much, Amanda. I agree with you. I've heard about people breaking up with their boyfriends and girlfriends on Facebook and text messages. For me, that's very inappropriate. If you want to tell something heartbreaking as that, you might as well tell them face to face.
Well, I think if you can connect with the other and feel some compassion and show some compassion and be supportive, then you might find more in yourself than you knew you had.
That's right. Now, Amanda, what is your main takeaway message to all of our listeners out there?
The main takeaway from all of this is that we can thrive in the digital age. We don't have to be fearful. We have to understand that the use of social media will continue to evolve, and our communication styles have to continue to evolve to incorporate it into our lives.
Excellent message. Thank you so much. Now, for those who want to contact you at Armchair Psychology, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, in Australia, they can call me on 02-9362-3490, or they can look at my website, armchairpsychology.com.au. If anyone actually has a question and wants to speak to me, they can go to info@armchairpsychology.com.au, and I'm very happy to have a conversation with them.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Amanda, for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And that was Amanda Gordon, Director of Armchair Psychology. We've just been talking about the pros and cons of social media and how it impacts our lives in a very interesting way, especially in terms of communication. We also talked about Psychology Week 2017. If you like this interview, transcripts and archives are available at www.hpr.fm. We're on all social media platforms, so don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. We're also available for download on SoundCloud and iTunes. I'm Tabetha Moreto, and you're listening to Health Professional Radio.